Hey! Good morning, Kevin. How the heck are you doing, man?
I'm great, Chris. How are you?
It is the best day ever. Can I tell you how awesome it is? Just
I
doing
knew
so
that was
good.
coming. Uh,
Oh, how is everybody doing today?
a lot of people seem to be doing great. Um, there's a link that Oscar just put into the chat.
Yeah.
Oscar's going to do a run slash walk. I would only walk, so. But what is this? Let me click on this link. Maybe it could.
Let's see.
You want to bring it up, or let's see. I have
I'm
it.
trying.
I have it in my window right here.
Oh, you got it? All
Yeah.
right. How about now,
So
Chewy?
supporting children with cancer and blood disorders. So, wow. So, yeah, find that link, help him out. Let's move him to the top of the leaderboard here.
Yeah, let's go. Anything we can do to help kids with cancer, I am all in on. So,
Nice. Well, good luck to you, Oscar. I hope you do well.
yeah. Yeah,
I
it
will.
is all
I
for the
will
kids.
pledge per mile, so I need to know how far you go. I always wonder about that. Like, do people really report it back correctly? It's like I think it got better when they just went to some flat rate or whatever.
Right.
So
Well, yeah, it is a bit. It is a bit challenging, but Oscar, let's get that in. I'll just. All right. Well, yeah, we'll get you taken care of, and yeah, please, everyone, if you have the opportunity to donate and you're in a position, please do. It is for the kids. If you can't, do not. Right? Like if you're struggling, and I know a lot of people in this world are, please,
mhm.
take care of your, just like in the whole like airplane thing. You got to make sure that you take care of yourself before you take care of others, because in the long run, that means you have more opportunity to help other people. So that's not being selfish. That's just being wise and prudent.
Wait,
I'm gonna say,
airplane. Oh, okay, okay, okay.
like you put the
Airplane. That
mask
was
on
that.
first.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So for some reason, I get it. My brain went to trains, planes, and automobiles when John Candy has a little speech about something like that. I think when he's sitting in the box truck. But okay,
Okay.
sorry. Back to it.
Well, uh, Will, this is a shout out to you. I don't know if you. Well, actually, no, I do know you saw this, but yesterday, Dave Zengev posted like a top 10 YouTube channels out there. And number one is Will. Learn Microsoft
Nice.
Fabric with Will. Well done, Will. But Kevin, look at us. We are right here. That is us right here. We somehow are ahead of Adam and Patrick. This is not the case. This is not. This clearly is in a weird order. But well done, Will. Way to make it with us. Somehow miraculously topping Adam and Patrick somehow. So
Yeah, I think we have to check the logic there. The sort order might be off, but
Good to
but it's
see
always
everyone.
always good to see those posts. A lot of, I mean, it's a lot of good channels out there. So it's amazing to me, the number of people that kind of just pick. You look at those lists. Yeah, a lot of times they have repeats on it, but they have a couple different ones on there, and there's great content. Well, I know you are doing a great job out there, so keep it up.
Yeah, well done. And I am gonna also point out. Oh, actually, no, I'm not. Let's just jump right into it. Where the hell did my mouse go? Oops, I'm not supposed to swear. All right, it's not in the first 60 seconds, so I'm all right.
Dollar,
Okay. Woo.
extra dollar to the cause
Yeah,
today, to the
yeah,
run.
yeah. All right. Well, we are going to do it live. We're actually going to do a live demo here today, and Kevin, in classic Fabric Friday format, Kevin is going to be doing a live demo with virtually no prep time or anything. So we're just going to be doing that live. But what the heck are we talking about when we talk about real time intelligence? So this was announced at Build, and This blog post is now out. You can check that out. We're just going to copy and put this out into the chat over here. But dude, this outlines all of the stuff that's going on that was announced at Build. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to run through this quick little, like minute-long video here to introduce Fabric.
Introducing real-time intelligence in Microsoft Fabric, an end-to-end solution empowering you to get instant, actionable insights on streaming data. At its heart lies a central place to discover, manage, and consume event data across your entire organization with a rich, governed experience. Get started quickly by bringing in data from Microsoft sources and across clouds with a variety of out-of-the-box connectors.
So I'm going to pause it right here because I think this is one of the most important things, is that anything that generates a real-time feed can go into this, right? So wherever you have those real-time feeds that exist inside your organization, you're going to be able to configure them to be available inside of this hub, basically like your data set hub. So be it on Amazon or Google or other places in Microsoft, or change data capture services that you've enabled, these things, it's all possible through here.
Route the relevant data to the right destination in Fabric using a simple drag and drop experience. Explore insights on petabytes of streaming data with just a few clicks. Elevate your analysis by harnessing the intelligence of Copilot in Microsoft Fabric using simple, natural language.
Okay, and one other pause. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I know they said you could do it on petabytes of data. I just saw this running on zettabytes of data with a Z. A Z,
Did you really?
then a B. Yes.
Can you expose where
I
you saw
cannot
that?
talk anything more about that. In fact, I might not even be able to say that I saw that. So I apologize.
Make efficient business decisions in the moment with real-time, actionable insights and respond to changing landscapes proactively. Allow users to monitor the data they care about, detect changing patterns, and set alerts or actions that drive business value. All your data, all your teams, all in one place. This is Microsoft Fabric.
Isn't that just, I mean, I don't know if you saw it, but I am a huge fan of how everything here is integrated together, right? So, okay, so the real-time analytics it goes in, I'm sorry, real-time intelligence. My bad. But it directly and automatically allows you to set up alerts that go right into like emails and Teams. Like you saw that right there inside of the config. So this isn't a nice to have, or this isn't something that comes later. This is just right in the service. That's so cool.
It is. I still kind of wonder though, like I think real time has a lot of great places to be used, but I also think everybody wants everything real time where it shouldn't be. So how much is this going to push business people to go, well, Microsoft supports real time now. Why can't you make all my stuff real time?
Well, so yes, Microsoft supports it. It's all about the Benjamins, though. How much are you going to pay? Is it really worth it? We actually had this exact same conversation yesterday with the client. They're like, "Hey, we want to have real-time feedback on some of the stuff. Like, great, let's talk cost. Look at how we can enable it." They said that's fantastic. Now here's the cost per whatever NIT or whatever. We did some rough like back of the envelope like cost calculations, and they're like, we need this little sliver that's real time. We don't need it to be like this huge thing that's real time. We can get the vast majority of our data can come in through bulk load processes, through micro batches, but we just want this little sliver that writes in a real time basis. And that's something that is definitely really possible then, right?
Yeah. I mean, because like, going back years ago, even starting with data warehousing, right? The first thing is, we got this source system or whatever this data. What data do you think you're going to need? Oh, we need everything, right? And something new comes about like real time. Oh, we need everything real time. So it's good to hear those conversations are going. Yeah, it always comes down to a cost. So now that we added into the capacity where we're just paying one price for the capacity, I don't know. Have you seen anything yet on does it take more CUs? Is it comparable to other things that are already in there? Is that how
Well,
you looked at it, or how did you figure a little bit of your cost?
well, we
I
it
may
was
have set you up.
very,
I just sorry I didn't
yeah,
think of that.
it was very rough in how we figured it out, but and a lot of this stuff we're still playing with and figuring out. But there's a lot. All of those other streaming services are an option to like handle the stream. Then
Mhm.
just the question is, where do you put the integration point inside of Fabric? So yes,
Yeah.
that'll fall under the depends
Yep.
category,
Yep.
right?
Thanks, Joey. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're gonna have some other components that might be outside of Fabric, right? That are
Hmm.
getting the streaming from your original source or wherever it's coming from and stuff too. So there's a lot of
Well,
different components to the cost.
yeah, and if we look in at the overall solution, right? What are we talking about? Real time intelligence, right? This is where it was called real time analytics. So we're all going to have to get used to like changing the name of it to real time intelligence, right? But there's a number of key factors, right? So we've got event ingestion. Kevin, how would you explain event ingestion to someone?
Um, I'm going to be stumped here. So event ingestion, I'm going to think of you have something out again on another source. So and there's other technologies that are streaming the events. And so this is actually going to that technology. Event hubs is one thing I'm thinking of that lives I think in Azure, right? And it's pulling, it's grabbing, it's reading off of that webhook or whatever it's going to be using to get that real time and pulling it in. So that's like staging, right? Bringing it in for the first time.
Yep. Yep. That is spot on. The next item is our real-time analytics in the warehouse. So what we're talking about here is be able to write real time into a warehouse, I believe. I'm still reviewing and validating that, right? But that's where that sits. Kevin, we're going to take a crack at real time AI.
So I'm assuming that's going to be Copilot, right? I mean, isn't Copilot the answer to everything?
Yeah. It's being able to ask questions using the latest version of Copilot, which I don't know if you're following, but it's almost like there's so much going on with Copilot, we miss all of the capabilities that are coming in, right? Like
Yeah.
they recently updated to like that 4.0 model, and now it's increasing better and all that good stuff, right?
Well, and there was another blog post that just talked about ask questions of your data, right? Which I know
Mm-hmm.
as soon as Copilot came out, that's what everybody was kind of hoping for, and it wasn't there on the very first release. But it sounds like it's there now. I haven't had a
Yep.
chance to go mess with it, but yeah, it could actually look at your. I believe it's off of it's got to get into the semantic model for Copilot
Mm-hmm.
to use it, right? And so you could get questions of your data. So what I would think here, right? Because there's going to be semantic models you could set up and or connect even maybe into the KQL database, and it's going to be real time AI off of that
Yeah, I
data as
believe
well.
it's a real time AI off of the event stream.
Yeah.
So you could start to ask it questions that are, coming from that stream, right? And I'm realizing I'm throwing you like all of the hard ones, so I'm gonna let
Oh,
you do the
you're
easy
fine.
one here, and
There's
then I'll go into some of the harder ones next.
for me some days there's nothing easy. So so real time dashboards was something as I was going through all these different releases, or different blog posts, I started reading it and I go, wait a minute, they're using the word dashboard. That we haven't seen dashboards change, and I think Chris, you were telling me you haven't seen it from 2017, right? The new
Yep,
features.
2017 in September was the last time there's a feature added or built on dashboards. So
Yeah.
very interesting to see it here.
Yeah, so I started, digging into it just a little bit more, and Chris and I messed with it today, but it didn't look like dashboards that we've seen in the past, right? How to build it, and we'll get into this a little bit later into this in the stream, but it to me looked like a new dashboard experience. So, dashboards are dead. Long live dashboards.
Yeah.
It's interesting that I think it's going to cause a little bit more confusion because the dashboard will really be used, right? And you hear this on Guy in a Cube and Adam a lot of times where he gets questions and somebody brings a question in and they use the word dashboard. He goes, well, I automatically change that to report because more than likely that's what you're doing. But if we're going to get into the real-time scenario now, then dashboard is going to be the true word and the true thing that you're producing. So
Yep.
so stay tuned. We'll see that here in just a little bit. But
Good call. And then the next one here. Oh my, what am I doing? That was
yeah,
that's interesting.
crossing
Shift.
it out.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. Real-time triggers. Those are be able to establish thresholds within that event stream to actually like when should an action get triggered. Now, I guess I'll cap off with this one too. Is like you could then use it to have event-driven actions based upon those triggers. So we kind of talked about like, hey, notifying someone on Teams or sending an email, but it's also API enabled, so we can then like maybe refresh a data set, right? Like if you set an event being you're checking for data inconsistencies, and you set a threshold of when you want to change something, this could refresh your data set. So a whole bunch of things that come in here.
Okay, so I haven't looked into this, but if what you're telling me is out of the box, I could have an event, and that when that event fires, I could have it make an API call on my behalf. Is what I just heard you say. I don't have to take it
Yeah.
through Power Automate or anything
Yeah.
else
Correct.
like
You
is
don't have
required
to. You don't have to take it to Power Automate, but it's integrated so that if for a business user who wants to do that can do that. Because I mean,
Right.
already like event streams were I mean that's something that people in the IT pro code space know how to handle and do, right? So those APIs were and that pub sub or whatever it was, that triggering event, they knew how to manage and handle those things. But
Yeah.
now it's easily extensible from that, but like on the low code, but also the pro code side of the house, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I'm looking for is more of the pro code, right? Rather than the low code where I would in the past I would have had to go through Power Automate and plumb in my API just to make that work and everything. But if I got a ticket system, Zendesk, Jira, something, right? And I know the APIs, I know how to develop to that. I could just do it in here without having to introduce yet another tool into it. That would be great. I'm going to have to kind of look into that because that's a scenario, that because I think we've even had that talked about, right? Like the cooler at the store, right? To where
Yep.
all of a sudden it's setting an out of range and you get 5, 10 out of range temperatures, and you want to put in a support ticket. Before it looked like you had to exit out to Power Automate, get that to do your support ticket, have it kind of click in to where it's like, look, I already know how to do this through all the other integrations that I do. So that would be great.
Yeah. And so, question of the day: how could you, if you're not already, let's put in the chat how you could use real-time intelligence to make a better intelligence platform for people to consume from. So this isn't like you have to know or like you have to be using it, but let's think of some ways that we could and share with people like what your thoughts are. For example, I'll give you the number one thing that I would like to use real-time intelligence for is surrogate key generation. Right? I don't want to have any late arriving data where I don't already have that surrogate key already generated and available, and I want it to always be able to line up and match up inside my environment. And I'd love to integrate real-time streams from the source systems that generate those different keys to update that so that whenever I'm doing my loads, I'm already set up with surrogate keys for all of my loads and information.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
I don't know
love
that
to hear.
I've thought of one yet. Dan put in the chat health information exchanges. Right. So
That, yep.
sending data around there.
Yep. That is a good call. And Fernando's asking, how much will automatic API call cost? And it is, it's probably, there's money associated with that. It's not going to be cheap. But that also does go to like your architecture. As you start to build these components out, make sure you don't put everything in one workspace. Like having an incredibly small workspace that's always up for your streaming capabilities that then dump data into like some one lake file, that makes perfect sense for me, right?
Yeah. And Fernando's main question is all cost, because he had a question earlier in the chat too about how much does Copilot cost. So
Yeah. Costs are interesting.
yeah, and they're always going to vary a little bit, right? But we do know things like Copilot does cost a lot, right? And that's why Microsoft is kind of limiting it today and throttling some of it. Because go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just going on with what Oscar is saying here, right? He works in finance, so being able to monitor real-time transactions would be huge for us. And I could imagine, Kevin, I don't know how much you've worked inside of finance, but I've done a number of stints as the data lead in a finance space. And like that end of month, end of quarter, end of year time frame is like a hair-pulling frustrating experience to balance all the books, to get everything right, to make all your filings and get everything done and in place, because like the federal government doesn't care that, oh, it takes an extra, like our data loads happen at night. They don't care. You have to have all of your information in and updated and right. You just don't tell Kevin about hair pulling.
What do you mean?
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I think this is one of the areas that like IT professionals really just have a complete disconnect between the work you do in the data world and the real world and how that data is used and distributed and consumed, right? Like the numbers can't just be, oh, it's in the system and so this is what we're reporting. If they know that there's something materially wrong or there's some material defect, those numbers have to match that known thing. And sometimes the business world is not the IT world. Things happen that are off system, that are significant in nature. I'm thinking like purchases of a company. Like if I buy a company on the last day of the month, well, I've just incurred this huge expense that is not gonna, like we didn't tell anyone we're going to buy the thing, right? It's not built into the books. It's not added into the data warehouse, right? There's none of that stuff. But you've got this huge material change that needs to happen in your books that isn't going to be reflected inside of any of your enterprise systems. So people in finance have to have a mechanism to massage the data to add that stuff in. But the question then becomes, what are the controls around that? And all, but that's a very real situation, right?
That's very interesting. Yeah. I mean, I've done a little bit more, not much in the finance, and I've seen them keep it more within their systems, like the SAP systems and stuff like that. So so it is kind of a little bit more challenging to me to see how the real-time analytics would play into it, right? And I could see maybe you're going to stream that data over to kind of find those exceptions to help people realize it quicker and everything. But it always felt to me like they still wanted to keep it in those main accounting type systems and everything, rather than building it over into the data warehouse. So
Yeah.
But I did like what Oscar said is that, he gets a new bottle of bourbon every quarter for providing numbers. So I want that gig.
And so we're not officially sponsored by the Buffalo Trace Organization, but if the Buffalo Trace Organization was going to sponsor us, this is where we would do a plug for Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace, some of the best bourbon whiskey that you can get in the market. It is a personal favorite of mine.
I like it too. They got a lot of other different. Yeah, they got great whiskey.
It is fantastic. They're down the block from Christina. Christina said she was going to go over there and talk to the marketing manager. I don't think she has, but we're just a big fan of Buffalo Trace here at Kratos BI.
And Christina, we haven't seen her for a while.
Well, it's because
I know.
It's because I've totally failed in booking my Wednesdays, and that stemmed from like all of a sudden I'm traveling every week or every other week during the weekdays. It's just
and she's had some changes too and everything.
Yeah.
So we could bring her on a Friday. Let's maybe make that happen.
Oh my gosh, I've got ads again. Oh my, I am sorry guys. YouTube does a YouTube thing, and I don't know how that works. So hopefully there'll be less of those in the future.
Are you sure they weren't talking about you pulling out? Chris was displaying his Buffalo Trace screen, so just to be clear, the Buffalo Trace stuff wasn't an ad; it was a screen share.
Yeah. It was
Oscar got hit with an ad.
Yeah, no, YouTube ads are a thing. Yeah, no actual ads. I don't know. Working on it. It's a thing that you might see. I'm sorry in advance. All right.
Where were we?
So we're still talking about real-time intelligence, and I guess
best day ever if we're talking about whiskey.
That's far more exciting than some of the AI and stuff that we're talking about here. So all right, so let's talk about the real-time hub and the advantages this brings. And I'm suddenly dunning. I might have. Hold on one second. Again, anything that we have, any place that's going to give us real-time data, can feed into. Okay, good. Can feed into a real-time, the real-time hub. Now, one of the things that I'm not sure of. Well, hang on, and then that can go to the process, to the analyze, the visualize, or to the act. Okay, so this general craziness funnels into this, and then it's easily processed into these different areas. Okay. So that's basically the architecture we're talking about. The question that was raised on X the other day was, if the real-time hub that you set up, actually no, I don't know. The question was, if these real-time items are in a capacity that's paused, does the data get lost or stored? I wasn't sure. I thought there would be a gap, but maybe I'm wrong because the data's technically managed in here. I'm not sure. We'd have to.
So if on the far left side, not all of those things would be in a capacity, right?
Right.
So
only this would be a capacity.
Yeah, if you're streaming in from another Fabric workspace or whatever, through your real-time hub. So I would think, the real-time hub that's going to be hosted within a Fabric capacity. If the capacity is paused there, that hub's going to stop bringing in data.
But what I don't know is if you think of the data hub, those don't necessarily have to be on a capacity for it to be listed there. Right? So I think the real-time hub right here, this guy, right? This one is just looking at these, right? So it's just going back and it's looking at the values that are here. And that this, I'm not sure if this actually has to have compute associated to it. These definitely these need to have compute. And so if these aren't on, these will not be available. But this one I'm not sure about. So question mark?
I think the data store, right? Because the real-time hub is gonna, like within either a process or something, right? It's gonna put it into the event house, right? The KQL database. And in order
Okay.
for it to write there, the capacity is gonna have to be on. So if to me, once the capacity is down, just like you can't write to a data lake, right, to a lake house, to a warehouse, you won't be able to write to the event house either with the
Yeah.
capacity down.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that's like this.
But
This is the event house, right? This is managed outside of Fabric. If this is on, the real-time analytics or real-time hub will just be looking at that thing that's up and running. Right?
all the data would still be queued over into those sources, and you'd be
Yeah.
able to get to it. But
All right. Well, so still a lot to
sounds like
explore in
something to test
this area.
about, right?
Yeah. Yep. We're gonna have to like go into that, but and there's more here in this blog. Do go out and check it out. Honestly, who is this? Is it Porsche? Porsche. Like what they're doing over at Porsche with the real time hub is pretty cool. So if you have an opportunity, if you have a little free time, do check that out. But I don't want to I do not want to detract from Kevin's demo. Just as a reminder, if you Kevin, if you have questions for Kevin while he's doing this, do feel free to ask. I will be monitoring that and injecting where necessary.
Come off mute and ask.
Yes, yeah.
Wait, wrong platform.
All right, let's.
All right, we're
Kevin,
on a
you
roll
want to jump
today.
into your demo?
Yeah, let's see how badly I could fail today. Best day ever, right?
Yep.
So,
best day ever.
So here we are inside Power BI, and for all you people out there, 5 days left, right? So, what was Fernando was saying? He's got 9 days. So we're all going to have to learn our new tricks to get more, trials and everything. I did have something that popped up and it went away that it asked me to upgrade and it didn't, or extend, but it didn't seem to work correctly. Anyways, all right. So I have a workspace that's empty here. I'm currently in the Power BI persona. I'm going to change out. You see, we have this real-time intelligence persona. So I'm going to change out to that. And we have our different items that we could create. And they got reflex in here, right? So that's kind of your alerting and everything. But I'm going to go over to our use sample. So I would say get started with a lot of these samples, kind of look at it. And they have a lot of analytics type data. Reading through all of these yesterday, I kept looking for it. We have the event house, I have a KQL database, and a query set on all of them. I don't think this stuff is being updated, in the background or anything. But you can come in here and kind of pick some of the ones that you want to mess with. I ended up picking the log analytics because I thought that was interesting. I know for me in the past, before the monitoring got a little bit better, or when I was on Azure Analysis Services running models, I would turn on log analytics in order to monitor and watch and evaluate what was going on inside my models. And that's still possible. So this one may be something you want to kind of learn and mess with. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. I don't think it takes too long. Maybe I shouldn't have clicked on this one because I do have it set up as well. And we'll just sit here and pass the time and sing a little bit as it's coming up.
So
I see
Dan
others
has
are saying
posted a question. He's only got
already.
5 days left. Is it time to go back to Power BI data marts? I say no. Spin up a fabric capacity and pause it and only use it when you need to have it, right? Like it can be pennies a month if you're just using it for little bits of time, right? Less than a Netflix subscription.
So, and I'm going to say that it also depends, right? I don't think you want to go back, but I don't know that I want to talk. I think there's going to be some tricks to help you get right. Other people in your organization can create trials, up to so many trials, and then share that trial with you. So just remember that it doesn't have to be you that creates the trial to use it. So find a friend.
That's exactly right.
So that's all I'm going to say on that subject. All right. So once we kind of get this sample created, you notice I have my event house, which has a KQL database underneath it, and then I have a query set, and that's the samples that come in. I think this query set is really kind of cool. I started going through this yesterday. Can we see this? Okay.
Yep. If you could zoom in a bit, that'd be good.
That too much?
A little more would be good.
Okay.
Maybe I could change her here. Nope. Does this one help? There we go. Better
Yeah, it's
now.
really big. It seems like we lose a lot of. Okay. Let's see if we can move this back a little bit. There we go.
Yep.
All right. So, Chris, how much have you messed with KQL? Have you started really learning it? And
so I had an unfortunate event 6 years ago where we had issues and we had to spin up log analytics, and all the only data to resolve it was then, and so I learned KQL in that weekend, and I promptly forgot KQL. So I know it's simple enough that I can go back in and I can learn it, but I can't. I couldn't just talk you through KQL.
yeah. So and just as a reminder, if you go search, there was the Custo Query Detective or something like that, right? That helped you learn KQL. Those are good learning opportunities. I'm kind of like you. I keep going through learning it and then forgetting about it. But it is something now that I've seen it enough times that I could come back in and start understanding it. These queries here that's in this query set got a lot deeper than what I have seen in the past, because I never saw this stuff about creating a function within the database. And so this will teach you how to create a function, a materialized view, and things like that. But that's not totally important for. I think I am going to have to run through it for. Let's see. Let me go back to my other workspace then. In order to create the dashboard, that's what we want to try to get to. But I'm going to change out to my other workspace that I already had a couple things run. Same setup. I just kind of ran some of these things already. And you could see that I ran it because as it loads this over here, you can see now I have functions, I have materialized views from, just running the things within this query set. So that's kind of interesting to explore, right? But it doesn't get us up to the dashboard yet. So I'm going to back up a little bit and I'm going to run one of these. Let's go back here. Let's go all the way up to the count again. All right. So just have a simple count. And I learned this today too, is if you highlight this, you notice when you click on it, it highlights the whole thing it sees as a query. If you press shift and enter, that's going to go ahead and run it, which I thought was interesting. So now that I have this highlighted, I could say pin this to a dashboard right up here. And I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And if you remember, how did we used to build a dashboard in the past, right? we would produce a report, pin the tiles, pin the visualizations from that report onto the dashboard. This is a little bit different experience from us testing it this morning, which is why we're saying we'll probably fail. So now the experience is you come in here, you have a KQL query. I could choose an existing dashboard or a new dashboard. I'm going to say new. And you give the tile a name. And I'm going to go ahead and tell it to open my dashboard after I create it. We'll create it. It opens. You notice we got this new icon here. And we have this count tile and everything. And so when we first got to this, it's like, well, that's kind of interesting, you know. I could save it as a copy. I could set an alert. I haven't played with this set alert yet, but you know, I said, well, this doesn't really look like, you know, this looks like a regular output. FF dashboard 1. Oh, okay. He was telling me. So you come over here and you change from viewing to editing. And now I could come in and I could edit my tile. You see I have in hand, I can move my tiles around, right? Which is similar to some of the other experience. But we could also come in here and now edit this. We could modify our query. See, it only took that one little query from our query set, right? The query set is a whole bunch of queries all together. We could change our name, put a description in here, and change the visual type. Now, I'm not able to change this one because it's only a single value to something like a bar chart. You see, I get this little error. But I can change this into, what was it that I liked here a second ago? A stat, right? To me, stat looks like card, like the card visualization, but they called it something different.
Because why not?
Yeah, I mean, you got to always have different names. And so we could apply our changes, and now this looks a whole lot nicer to me. You're right. And I'm going to make it smaller and everything. So that's pretty nice. So let's go back now into our KQL. Oh, wait, it wants me to save before I leave. That was nice. All right. So, and this is kind of nice. Like I said, was we could work through the queries into our query set and have a whole bunch in here, you know, keep them as one place to mess around with it. So I'm going to go ahead. This was something I learned as well. You could see in the KQL language, we could render our results just as a column chart or whatever here. So I'm going to go ahead, Shift Enter, and there's my my KQL query already put out as a visual. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this to the dashboard. I could say my existing dashboard. Go ahead and choose the name. Create. And we'll go back to our dashboard here off our little navigation. And we have that now. Let's go back into edit mode. Because I thought this was kind of cool when we messed with it earlier. So you can see I still have my query here, and it's telling it to render as a column chart. But that's not what I want. What I want is my visual type. I want to change it to a bar chart. And even though the query forces it to a column chart, I thought it was pretty cool that it allows me to change this to something different for the actual visualization on my dashboard. Go to a pie chart. Somebody's got to love that, right?
Don't tell Jay. Wilson is making a comment that it's wild that they haven't grayed out the ones that aren't relevant, that won't work, right?
That is kind of okay. So this won't let me make this any narrower because it's got to have so much to visualize for. So I'd have to make this one if I want to make them look pretty. I'd like to see some things like being able to snap the grid, your common visualization type of stuff, right? Um,
Well, we're still talking about being within the confines of the existing dashboard, which
yeah,
hasn't had an update since 2017, right?
that could be true, right? Or is this a brand new technology, or a different technology since it's a preview and they're real time dashboards?
I don't
I
think
don't
that's
I don't know. You
anything
think it's
new.
all based on the original one?
Yeah,
Let's
yes,
see.
we
We
do.
could add pages. That's kind of cool. Were there pages on the original dashboard?
No.
So we got pages we could add.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
maybe we are getting new features into dashboards? What is going on here? Oh my,
so
Miguel. Where is Miguel? We need to get him involved here.
let's see
What
if we
is
just kind
going
of
on?
grab. Let's do this. We don't want to go through that. That's just another count. No, no, no. Okay, let's just take this count again. Let's see what this count produces. But we could think. Oh, wait, that may not be. It's highlighted, but it's not copyable. Okay, so now we come over here, go into page 2, edit, new tile. So if I'm going to do it this way,
Yeah, and Fernando, your question about like what happens when we pause to save money, I don't know. I don't know. Like we were talking about that. I'm not sure exactly what happens to the real time side. I know the consumption sides don't work, right? Like you can't go in and consume the reports and stuff if the fabric capacity is paused. But I just don't know. Does it queue it up? Does there a gap? Like we just gotta get more into that. That's what we were talking about earlier.
yeah. Well, and one thing to just be a little bit clear on is, because I saw this with somebody just the other day, is they had their capacity paused and they're like, but wait, I could view my report, the actual report, right? And I asked them, I said, what data set is your report connected to? And it was a data set that was outside of that workspace, that was in, say, either a share or PPU capacity or something, right? That's why the report was working in that workspace, even with the capacity pause, because your compute is off of the semantic model wherever that resides, not where the report resides. And then I had them click on a report that used a semantic model in that workspace, and then it got the message, "Hey, the capacity's paused. You cannot run this at this time." So it
Yeah,
gets
and
back
that
to good hygiene in your workspaces, right?
yeah, and we kind of mentioned earlier about breaking up and managing your workspaces to have different use cases. So, like, if you're doing semantic models that are based off of your enterprise and they're going to be a direct like connection to your model, then that's an environment that has to always be up. You can't be pausing that. I think the kind of the guide rule book I've been following is like if you're an F64, you can follow that pattern. If you're not an F64 and going to be on all the time, look at look, and you're trying to save money, right? Like most of us are, right? Look at using the lower consumption categories to do all your data management, but then use an import model as Kevin is outlining for the consumption side. And so you could still use like Pro or PPU for all of your consumption. So Pro if your models are under 10 gigs in size, PPU if they're under 100 gigs in size, right? So
Mhm.
there's still a strong use case for both of those in this case.
Yep. So as you were talking, I was just kind of clicking around again in our
Mm-hmm.
new experience, right? So we have page 2. I created another tile, but look at some of this stuff up here under manage, this auto refresh. So I think this is going to be the real
Mm.
time part of it, right? Where we could enable it. and it looks like 30 seconds is going to be our lowest, right? So if your event house is getting data on a frequent basis, you could come down and default refresh. It doesn't seem to have. Oh, did it pop up all of a sudden?
Yeah, it looks
I'm
like
getting a
you've got a
weird.
little. Yeah, there it goes.
There it goes. So that was a little bit strange, but
Yeah.
okay, that's cool. Um,
And Wilson mentions, I don't know how I feel about having multiple pages in what's supposed to be a dashboard. I'm going to echo that, but
yeah,
uh, I am also going to say these are our first experiences of seeing what the dashboards and new features coming here. I want to understand before I jump into like, oh no, this shouldn't be like this. I really want to understand where this is going because we haven't seen any advances in this space. I want to see how this gets updated and how we use this.
yeah. It's pretty interesting. The
Yeah.
set alert, right? So you can pick which tile you want to set an alert on.
Yep.
We haven't messed with this at all. Okay, there it is. There it comes up. On each event, when okay, let's just say it's greater than 1,000. Send me an email or message me in Teams. Seems to be the only actions allowed right now, or the alerts. And this is talking about data activators in preview right now. So, item. Oh, okay. So it's gonna save it into. Oh, okay. So you gotta have a reflex item, and so it's gonna go ahead and create that for me.
I gotta tell you, I think these reflexes are gonna be some of the most powerful things that we have in the system because it's gonna allow people to actually do something from the data, right? And
Yeah.
that take action has been something that's just been missing for way too long. Like maybe the action is like, hey, it's as simple as check out your sales report, right? And or your client your review report or whatever it is, right? Because most people don't go in and check on anything that goes on in their reporting environment unless there's some big issue or they're forced to go in and do it on a cadence. They'd honestly prefer to not have to look at it and just go about doing their job.
Yeah.
But if there was a mechanism to say, hey, something has happened that you care about because you've told me you care about it, go look at this. I think that would be that's going to really help.
Yeah. I love how simple that was to create, right? Just how much they integrated those two, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now I went back and I actually opened up the reflex because I was going, well, what if I didn't want to send it to me? I wanted to send it to somebody else. So you come in here and now edit this as what we've shown before in the data activator, right? So very nice, very nice.
So just for everyone's awareness on how this stuff all fits together, data activator has reflexes. Okay, so data activator's the broad product, and that has many components inside a data activator. One of the big items inside of there is reflex. Okay, I think there was some dabbling with calling the whole thing reflex, but then they're like, well, 80% of it isn't reflex, so I think that's why the name got adjusted, if that makes sense.
Yep. So a couple other things that I just noticed and I know we're getting close on time.
Yep.
But the parameter, you could add some parameters for your queries. So I think that's pretty cool. This is sending over the time range, right? So this is where that last hour. So it's giving the start time and end time. So if you have that in your query, you could have a parameter that changes that. Yeah, that's probably about it right now, right? So
Awesome. Well,
yeah.
I think we've done a great job with this, Kevin. Thank you so much. Like, as usual, you just crushed it. Well done.
No, I
Excited.
just made it up as we go. We know how this works around here.
Yeah, and Christopher Pollock's calling out how awesome Data Activator is and new features that's coming. Yeah, this is really going to be more here. So, yeah, and you're getting a 10 out of 10, Kevin. Well done.
I know,
today.
wow, because I didn't break anything this time. So that's kind of, in a way, that's kind of disappointing to me. I kind of like it when things break on me.
Yeah, we're known for like being bold and jumping right in. So that's good job, Kevin. Thank you for being bold and giving that a shot. We really do appreciate it. And hey, thank you guys for joining the live stream today. We really do appreciate you hopping on and being here. Oopsies. I want to quick go back and make sure that we are, as a reminder, Oscar is running a charity run this weekend. So another link there. It's to help children with cancer. And holy cow, as an adult, I don't want to get cancer. I cannot imagine being a kid with cancer and having to get through that. But anything you can do to help out there, we'll definitely do that. I'm going to go in and I'll be making a donation as well. I'll share that out in some social medias. And yeah, so thank you guys very much for that. Kevin, any parting words for these amazing people?
Sorry, I was typing back to Wilson. He was saying I can't demo next week, so we got 5 days left. Trust me, I'll have a way. So yeah, have a great weekend. Have some bourbon. I'm gonna head to Nashville, so I'll be in Tennessee. So I might have Tennessee whiskey instead of bourbon. But
there you go.
Yeah. But
all right,
yeah, thanks
awesome.
everybody for showing up. Best day ever.
Best day ever. All right. You guys have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. Peace. Digital combines strategic industry insight and advanced technical expertise to uncover and solve your digital transformation challenges. If you're interested in learning more, check out our website at bakertilly.com/digital.